Hello ladies and gentlepeople, and welcome to the forest. Now today we are going to be doing our very first lesson on actually doing a website. So it's actually quite exciting because if you're following this and you've never done a website before, you are going to create your first website. It's not going to be amazing and exactly what you want in the long term, but it is a functioning website. So let's get started. Now, we're going to start off by going to Notepad, and you can just find Notepad very quickly. Notepass. Open up Notepad, and all you need to do is say, "Hello World." Now, it's quite common for people who code to release this kind of one line in their code, so they get their code to create that one line, because with a lot of programming languages there's a huge amount of hurdles to jump through to set up the application whatever first, and then just releasing that text to say yes, everything's set up perfectly is actually quite an accomplishment. So the next thing we're going to do is save that, and I'm going to save it to the desktop. But what's really important is what you save it as. Now, all HTML documents need to be saved as .html. There are other kind of suffixes that you can use, like .htm and things like that. They're all outdated. It's .html now. Now, if you watch my previous video, you'll know that you can actually say .php and it would work the same way. But we're not onto PHP yet, so let's just stick with HTML for now. So I'm going to say first site .html and click save. And I'm going to close that down now. In fact, I'll leave that open. I'll leave it over here. Now you can see here it's created first site.html, but it's going to open it in your default browser. So on this machine, my default browser is Chrome, so it's going to open it in Chrome. And an interesting side note is that Chrome is by far the most popular web browser. So if ever I'm rushed on a website and I don't have enough time to make sure it's accessible to all websites, the first thing I will do is make sure it's accessible to Chrome. It's something like 80% of I shouldn't say 80% because it changes all the time. And by the time you watch this video, it's not 80% anymore, but you get my point. So what I'm going to do is just double click that, and voila, we have a website. Now if you upload that onto your server, and we're not even going to start with that just yet, but if you upload that onto your server and people went to your site, they would see Hello World. It would be a success. Unfortunately, it's not very glamorous, and actually the coding in it is horrendous. Okay, so we'll go through how to do it properly now. So we're going to close that down, and if you close this accidentally, if you right click on this, you can say open with, and you can go to Notepad if you click choose another app, or you can open Notepad itself again and then just click open and then navigate to the desktop and then open it that way. If you double click on it, it'll always open in your default internet browser. So this is really bad code, because what we should have at the start is to say that it's a HTML document. Now the way I do that is with these kind of square brackets, and these square brackets mean that I'm declaring a HTML element. Basically I'm saying a bit of HTML, and that's not going to be output to the user, so the user will never ever see that HTML or anything in square brackets unless I want you can actually use square brackets by escaping them if you want to actually put them onto your site. But without doing anything, square brackets in HTML means this is just for the browser. So my server sends it to your computer, and your computer reads that and goes, oh okay, I see what he wants to do, and it never output it to the user. So there are two other tags I need to put in, two other elements I need to put into this site. The first one is head, and we're going to put that underneath HTML. And the second one for each of these, so this one here and this one here, just close it. So this closes the head. This says, right, I'm done with talking about the head stuff, and this says no, done with the website, that's finished. So it basically tells the internet browser to stop and not go on anymore. The next thing we need to do is add body, and this will be on every website, and then close the body. So an important thing to talk about is what is head and what is body. Now, body is your website. It's everything on your website, so all your text, all your images, everything, all your videos, everything goes into the body. Body is going to be presented. The head is what needs to be sorted out before anything is output. So before you put that picture in, before you load that text, before you show that video, what's needed. So an example would be, if you're using JavaScript, you probably are going to be using jQuery at some point, if not every time you use it. Now jQuery is a library that needs to be imported. All the browsers at the moment don't have jQuery installed in them, so they don't know anything about jQuery. So in the head, what I would do is load in jQuery, and then I can use it in the body. Now, things change all the time, and actually the advice now and the heavy push recently, I say recently in the last 10 years, is to load that stuff later on, but we don't need to worry about that. There is some stuff that your browser needs to know before it starts going through the content and your images and stuff, and we'll go through all of that in later videos. So the other thing is body, and body is just our content here. So all of our content is here, and it looks happy. And that's it for today. Now, this is the only time I'm going to be using Notepad. Notepad is not the tool for this. In the next video, we're going to talk about, well, if we're not using Notepad, what are we using? Well, I can tell you what not to use. Notepad's really good because it doesn't add any other junk. It doesn't add secret stuff behind the scenes that make everything work. Now, an example of a notorious thing that does that is Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word adds loads of markup to your text, so if you coded in Microsoft Word, it would put so much junk into it, which when you use Microsoft Word you don't see, but it is there, and it puts so much junk in that actually it's the Internet Explorer or Chrome or Safari would have no chance of actually understanding it. With Notepad, it is literally just text. What you type is what it is, and there's some character sets that you need to set in and that you can't use, and blah blah blah, and I'm not going to go into that. However, Notepad's a really good place to start because you don't need to download anything. If you're a Windows user, it's on there already, and if you're a Mac, the Mac equivalent's on there already. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, please click like. If you have any comments, any questions, please write them in the comments. I'm looking at doing a video of all of your questions on any previous video or future video requests, which will be really, really interesting. We release videos at 6 o'clock on every weekday, so that's 6 o'clock in the evening, UK time, every weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I hope you find this useful. If you do, please click subscribe. Thank you very much.